What's going on, guys? Kyova Murray back here today, and man, we have 3-4 more weeks before the NFL preseason starts. Get hype, people. You already know we supporting the Patriots. But there was some nonsense going on with the Deflategate. Come on, guys. It's been almost 2 years now. It's pointless. You guys are just adding more news that people can cover while the NFL is in their off season, so that you guys can get more money. I bet that's all you guys are doing. There's no freaking way that Tom Brady was responsible for that. Maybe the management, maybe a couple of the players, but not the players. A couple of the players, ball boys might have done something, but definitely not Brady. Come on, guys. Anyways, so what I'm planning on doing is doing a video on each division, like the AFC East, West, North, South, and same with the NFC, and doing a preview video with each conference, with each division, actually, with each of the teams, giving my thoughts on their last season and where they might be going heading into this season. So we're going to start off this series, with the AFC West, which includes the defending Super Bowl champions, Denver Broncos. Okay, we'll start off with them. They've lost quite a few key pieces this last offseason. Most notably, Peyton Manning retired, and his backup, who played pretty well during the season, Brock Osweiler, went to the Texans. So they decided to draft a quarterback in Paxton Lynch from Memphis. And they also signed Mark Sanchez. And I know most Broncos fans are not really happy about that. I personally don't think that's a big deal because they're more defense oriented, which they made a very, very important very, very important transaction with signing Von Miller to a long-term deal, the highest paid non-quarterback in the league, especially as a defensive player. He signed for $114.5 million over 6 years. They signed this like right before, only 2-3 hours before he would have been playing 2016 with the franchise tag, which stopped him from signing with them for almost 2 months now. It's huge, very, very huge, considering how important Von Miller was for them in the Super Bowl. He didn't have a outstanding season compared to the other defensive players like DeMarcus Ware and their cornerbacks in Chris Harris Jr. and their wide receiver Demaryius Thomas had a good season too. He didn't do so well in the postseason like he normally does. He doesn't do so well in the postseason. And Chris Harris Jr. had a good one, of course. Aqib Talib also had a good one. TJ Ward also. They have a lot of quality defensive players, not so much on the offense. Of course, they have their wide receiver. They have their Emmanuel Sanders. They have the other wide receiver in Demaryius Thomas. And they got C.J. Anderson again, who they matched his contract. So he's staying with the Denver Broncos. That's important. And thinking about their season, they ended last season 12-4 with a really, really good defensive output. I wouldn't say they're gonna replicate last year's success, especially given that they don't have quality quarterbacks, but I think they will win at least 8 games this upcoming season. They will likely be second or third in the AFC West this year. That's my prediction for them. And the team that really surprised us all last year was the Kansas City Chiefs. They went on, if I'm not mistaken, a 10-game winning streak. After going 1-5, they just won all out during the regular season, and then even in the postseason, they won. They beat the Houston Texans. They blew them out, but unfortunately lost to the Patriots, which they could have won. The fourth quarter, it was getting close, but they didn't necessarily run the ball. They were kept on turning it over, which gave the Patriots a chance to come back, and fortunately, they couldn't do anything with that. And they didn't necessarily lose any big-time players. They did lose some on the defense, a defensive player who went to the Oakland Raiders. His name, let me just bring it up real quick. His name. Well, they lost their safety, Abdullah, on March 29th of this year. So he lost him, unfortunately. No, Eric Berry, they decided to get him as a franchise player, but of course they couldn't get a deal done within the last few weeks. So he's going to play 2016 without a franchise tag, which puts it into going forward, which makes it really difficult because they don't have a long-term deal with Eric Berry. He could leave them in 2017, go to another team. I don't know where he would go, but he has been their defense. I'm telling you, he's their man, their go-to person on defense. You can count on him every game to play hard. And also Donateri Poe, he's still with them, defensive lineman. They have a really good defense as well. A lot of teams don't have a really, really good defense, but the Denver Broncos and the Kansas City Chiefs, unfortunately both in the same division, have amazing defenses. Top-notch defenses. And then if you look at their offense, they really have to go with Alex Smith, to be honest. He kind of leads their team. Jamal Charles, they missed him a lot last season. He was injured, so he'll be coming back from his injury. So you can count on him to support them a lot, especially on their running game. Their wide receivers aren't necessarily that great. Jeremy Maclin's their quote-unquote best wide receiver. Rod Streeter is also a pretty good one. They have a really good tight end in Travis Kelce. But other than that, they don't really necessarily have a really strong passing game. They have a good offensive lineman, which is offensive line, so that's very important for their running game, which I feel like will flourish this season, especially with their Jamal Charles being back. For them this year, I don't necessarily think they'll go again on that huge streak again, but definitely they will. I feel like they will end the season at 8-8. Also, I think they'll be. To be honest, I think they'll be third in the league, third or fourth in the standings for the AFC West. And going to the team that made a lot of transactions this postseason, off-season, was the Oakland Raiders, my man. If you're not hyped for the Oakland Raiders, man, this is going to be an amazing season. I mean, they lost their defensive end in Justin Tuck, but they signed Bruce Irvin from the Seahawks. They signed Sean Smith. They signed Osmelly. They signed Lofton. They signed with Penn for 2 more years. They signed with Aldon Smith. They signed a lot of defensive players, so that's really, really exciting going forward for them because, they had a good offense. They had an offense that can prove themselves with Derek Carr running the show, and they could always count on their wide receivers Amari Cooper and Crabtree, who had pretty good seasons last year. And going forward, Latavius Murray, you could expect quite a bit from him as well. I feel like they're gonna expand their offensive game, especially with splitting it between run game and passing game. That's the only way to be a really good team. If you look at really, really good teams within the last decade, of course, you have the Patriots. They always had a above average run game, and they had absolute dominance on their wide receiver game. Same thing with the Steelers. Steelers, you can count on them to have an above average run game, and their wide receivers have always been top notch. So it's going to be interesting seeing how far the Oakland Raiders will go. Personally, in my opinion, they will win the division. They're going to win the division. They're going to end the season at the end of the last season with you felt like at the beginning of the year they could have pulled something off, but then the Kansas City Chiefs, they just had a excellent run. So they ended last season with 7-9. But I think this year they'll win 10 games. I'll be honest, 10 games, lose 6. Their schedule isn't too bad, but at the same time isn't like super, super easy. They have games that they can lose/win. It's like you could win or lose those games, that type of thing. I think they will win most of them because of their defense has improved a lot. So I have them winning the AFC West, to be very honest with you. And of course, the last team of the AFC West, the San Diego Chargers. Man, I have no clue what's going to happen with the Chargers. They got the number 3 pick of the draft. Chose Joey Bosa, the defensive end out of Ohio State. They ended last year 4-12. To be honest, a lot of people thought that last year was going to be a great year for them. They blew it, went 4-12. I don't know, man. I don't know if they're gonna. I'll be honest. They might win games. To be honest, they might win a few games, not many. Looking at their schedule, they could win against the Jaguars. They could win against the Titans and the Buccaneers and the Browns. But with playing the Chiefs twice, playing the Raiders as well twice, and then you play the Broncos twice. That's 6 games right there in your schedule that you most probably lose because you just don't have that. I mean, you have a team. I'll be honest. You have a great team. You have Phillip Rivers running the show. They have Melvin Gordon and Brandon Oliver as your running backs, and you have Danny Woodhead. That's a really good offense right there. Not to mention you have Keenan Allen as wide receiver. You also have Stevie Johnson as a wide receiver. You also have the most important person in Antonio Gates as your tight end. Your backup tight end in Jeff Cumberland, also a really good player. So their biggest problems have always been their lines. Their offensive line was good, but I don't remember his name exactly, but he retired last year. Let me bring up his name real quick. Yeah, he retired last year. He played many seasons for the Chargers. Very, very important. Nick Hardwick was the latest man to retire. So unfortunately he had to retire, and thus our offensive line was really, really bad last year. But I think we have potential to go forward, going forward, but I don't say we're going to be the best at protecting our QB. But we definitely have we definitely have a good game, offensive game. When it comes to defense, though, defense has improved with Joey Bosa. I think that he will be a really, really important player on the defensive end. Corey Liggett, he's also an important player. And of course, we lost our main man, our safety, Eric Weddle. He left, so we don't have Eric Weddle anymore. That's very, very difficult for us because he's been with us for a very, very long time. Jason Barrett also, he's with us. He's still with us, cornerback. Brandon Flowers is still with us, cornerback. Matiteo, alright. Perryman's alright as well. I mean, we have an okay defense. Not gonna lie, but it's gonna be interesting going forward, seeing how far this unproven team will go, especially with all the struggles they've had the last few years. So my prediction, of course, I still think they have 1 or 2 more years before they'll be outstanding. My prediction is that they'll win at least 6 games, be 4th in division again, and potentially be a top 5 draft pick again, in hopes of grabbing somebody really, really big so they can make some big moves over the next offseason. It's going to be interesting going forward how all of these teams go, because many of these teams have made huge differences from last year, especially the Denver Broncos. That's going to be interesting, seeing how the Super Bowl champs do this upcoming year. And the Chiefs, will they be able to recover after such a crazy year last year? And potentially this might be Eric Berry's last year with the Chiefs, so will they do something with him over this season, try to go far in the postseason? Oakland, I think, also has a good chance of going far in the postseason. I don't think that anybody in the AFC West will go to the Super Bowl, but I feel like one team definitely will be a dark horse in the postseason, and that is the Oakland Raiders. So my next upcoming video for the predictions will be the AFC East, and then I'll go with the North and the South, and expect those videos coming out over the next 3-4 days, and then I'll go to the NFC as well. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you like it. Comment what you think about the AFC. Who do you think is going to win the conference, the division? Do you think anybody in the AFC West is going to go to the Super Bowl? What are your thoughts on the Broncos being potentially 2nd or 3rd in the division, and the Raiders potentially winning the division this year? So be sure to comment your thoughts on these standings, and I want to know what your guys' standings are as well. And until next time, Kyover Murray signing out with Cabin 6 Studios. Peace out, guys.